where you can learn more about our new closed testing environment. We call it Battlefield Labs. Let's build Battlefield together.
How's it going, everybody? It is Ice Bear Gaming here. So, after seeing that trailer at the beginning here, you gotta admit you're kind of hyped for the next Battlefield, right? I'm a little bit cautiously optimistic about it, but the gameplay trailer definitely has me a little bit intrigued. Simply due to the fact that we're going back to a modern setting, we're going back to normal soldiers, we're not having operators or specialists or anything like that. We're going back to just normal soldiers, boots on the ground, classic military. It's just going to be great. The way the trailer's looking and the way it's shaping out right now, it looks good. I will say I'm cautiously optimistic until we start seeing some more gameplay, seeing the HUD, seeing how the classes look, because it doesn't really... most of the soldiers kind of look a little bit samey outside of like some minor details, which is fine. But I don't know which one the support is, I don't know which one the medic is, and I don't know which one the recon is. The recon, you can kind of see if you look at the trailer. He has like some like the ghillie kind of hat look on him, but he's just wearing the normal basic soldier's thing. He's not like wearing like a full-on ghillie suit or anything like that. And it looks like we're getting a lot of urban environments back, and kind of, at least in my opinion, it looks like back to Karkin back from Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 3. At least that's the kind of style of map that it looks like to me. And I wouldn't mind, I like the back to Karkin like map pack that we got back in Battlefield 3. But today we're going to be talking about my kind of wish list that I would like to see here in the next, Battlefield game. Because I've been playing since Battlefield 3. I didn't have much of a chance to play Battlefield much whenever I was growing up, simply due to the fact that I just didn't get a console, or at least a console that I can play it on, until like 2012, 2013. So I was pretty much at the end of Battlefield 3's life cycle, and Battlefield 4 was such a buggy mess at launch, I couldn't really enjoy it. And then whenever I got the PlayStation 4 and changed my name, or my gamer tag, over to this one, it was only whenever I was able to sit down and play Battlefield 4 and actually enjoy it. But as far as my wish lists go, I would say, 1, soldiers have to be normal soldiers. Get rid of specialists and everything like that, which they already achieve one thing on my wish list. Number 2, make classes have their own dedicated weapons and stuff again, to give them more identity, and don't add like a passive or a perk system to Battlefield to where they have like special abilities with such weapons, like more ammo or anything like that. Bring back the squad-based gameplay. Don't add anything that forces you to use a special gadget, or like not a gadget, but a special perk or ability that makes that class unique, like they did in Battlefield 2042 whenever they did the operator changes to where only certain operators can use certain gadgets and stuff like that. And even then, they didn't limit the scope of the weapons. Anybody can still use whatever weapon. If you want to play as fucking what was his name, Angel, you can still run around with a sniper rifle. It just doesn't make any sense. Grant you, he doesn't get the benefits of like what Casper can with sniper rifles, having pretty much like steady scope the entire time. It's still the fact that he's still able to run around with a sniper rifle, and each class should be specialized in using that specific weapon and gadget. Support should be using LMGs. And if you want to have a universal weapon like we did back in Battlefield 3 where you give them all PDWs, or back in Battlefield 4 where you give them all carbines, shotguns, and the DMRs as well. Almost forgot about the DMRs. Having universal weapons is fine, but making them specialize in a specific weapon or gadget adds more class character and more class synergy, because the whole point is team play. The other thing, get rid of the ability to skip respawn. Most of the time, the reason why I can almost guarantee you, the reason why people don't play medics and play medics and don't revive anybody is because every time they go up to try and revive somebody, they just instantly fucking skip the revive as they're running up on them. So do away with that, slow down the pace of the game a little bit, and actually like make it to where somebody has to sit there and wait. Another thing, I don't know if it is available or if it is around in the newer Battlefield titles like Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 2042, but make it to where it does not cost you a ticket if you get revived. Because back in Battlefield 3, I was watching the gameplay a little bit, and as long as you're reviving people and going through and getting them back up off the ground, it would not burn a ticket. So you were able to go through and revive somebody and prevent that ticket loss because you were getting them back up and into the field versus them, dying and having to respawn, costing you a ticket. Whether it's like that in the newer titles, I've never paid mind or noticed, but I did notice it in this gameplay here and in the previous titles that it was like that. But I don't know if it's like that in the newer titles. Another thing on my wish list: make vehicles strong but weak. Currently in Battlefield 2042, they get their health back after just leaving combat for a couple of seconds, and that should not be the case. You should be going through and having somebody being dedicated to repairs and having to stop and leave the battlefield to repair your vehicle. Actually physically get out and repair your vehicle. Not, oh, I'm going to sit here in my vehicle and spam the repair button on the inside where I'm safe. No. Physically get out and actually go through and repair the vehicle, or have an engineer or request for an engineer to come up and repair your vehicle. That's kind of the whole point, having team synergy. We need to go back to team synergy a little bit with this game. Another thing, slow down the movement. Bring it back to about Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4 levels of movement. Don't add sliding, don't add dolphin diving, don't add anything that's related to COD or COD-based movement. Get rid of the tactical sprint. We don't need it. It doesn't feel right for a Battlefield game to have these in any way, shape, or form. It just, for one, it speeds up gameplay when you don't really need it. Battlefield has always been kind of more or less like, it was still kind of an arcade shooter, but I would always treat it as like a milsim light, where you're playing as a class and playing as a designated role, where it's not on the scale of like Squad or Hell Let Loose, where you have like 9 different people and multiple different classes of like functions and like support roles and like commander, support, medic, and all them, like how they are in Squad or Hell Let Loose. Battlefield has always been the light variant of it, where you can still have the vehicle gameplay and having the team gameplay, and it just felt good. It just felt good where you didn't want to sit down and do like a long game of like Squad or Hell Let Loose. You can sit down and just play some Battlefield and have some fun with some friends. And the movement was like a little bit on the faster pace, but it wasn't to the levels of what COD is currently right now. And I think we need to go back to what Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 is. And I guarantee you, if you were to go back and do it to that extent, you'd have more people playing the game then at that point. Bring back squad specializations. In Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, you had squad specializations where if you were to equip it, it would give a passive benefit where anybody can have anything equipped at any given time, like the squad sprint boost, where whenever you get like a little bit more movement speed. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit. Squad ammo, where you pretty much had full ammo at any given time. Your base spawn was 124, where if you had squad ammo, it gave you 120 or 117 or 217. Squad explosive, your engineers had more explosives and your supports had more C4s to play around with, or more claymores to play around with. Bring back that kind of team play and synergy where it's a little bit more beneficial and a little bit more rewarding because you're contributing to the team instead of playing as a selfish role. Because medics nowadays in any game, they only care about just healing themselves and not the team. And don't make it to where they can go through and like revive themselves or anything like that either. And I would say just go back to where whenever you go down, you like how it is in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, you see like the kill cam and everything, and you're just forced to just sit there and wait and either get paddled by another medic or go back to the respawn screen. And even in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, and I will show it here in some gameplay, you do see medics going through and just running out in the heat of battle to try and pick you up. Nowadays, nobody does that in any of the newer titles. And if you're still playing 2042 or Battlefield 5, how often do you ever see a medic run out into the heat of battle to try and pick you up? It's probably not very often. And even whenever I tried getting back into Battlefield 2042, which I can't, that's why you're seeing Battlefield 3 footage, you just don't see it. You don't see team play like that. Medics are always throwing out med packs and reviving. You always had supports throwing out ammo. You always had engineers going through to try and repair your vehicles, as long as they see it, and taking out tanks or assisting out taking out tanks. I don't know what happened between then and now, but not that many people go through and play their respective roles in a way that they should be anymore. And I would say the other thing that I would like to see as a wishlist option is more content at launch. Give us the levels of Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4 levels of content at launch. Bring back the DLCs. Make it to where you have to spend $10, $15 on a DLC. I'd much rather have that, because at least it puts the fire on the seat of this on the developers to give us and deliver us a decent bit of content, and we're paying for it. I also forgot to mention we should also bring back the suppression based system as well. The suppression in Battlefield 3 was a little bit too hectic, but if they were to make it to where like the assault rifles and like the other class of rifles aren't that high with the suppression, but only make it high for like sniper rifles and LMGs, that would probably make the game a little bit better, and it would fit more in the role of like those types of weapon styles for the classes in the game, because LMGs is all about laying suppressive fire and putting rounds on the enemy and either killing them or suppressing them to where they can't fight back. And snipers, well, having a bullet whiz past your head is probably something to give you a good wake-up call if you're not paying that much mind or attention. All in all, Battlefield, the new Battlefield is looking pretty good. Just a little bit of pre-alpha gameplay that we're seeing. Grant you, it's not a lot. It's only probably about 10-15 seconds worth, if that. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I am very excited to see where this goes. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I'm going to pre-order it. No. But I am going to try and participate in the Battlefield Labs pre-alpha testing community environment, kind of like what we had back during the CTE back in Battlefield 4 towards the end of its life cycle, and see where it goes. And I'll let you guys know if I get into it, like if I end up getting into the CTE, and if there's like, if I'm allowed to go through and like post gameplay, I will tell you guys my thoughts and opinions about it then too. But all I can do is wait and see if I hear anything back, if I can even get into the program, or even be allowed to test it. So as long as there's no like NDAs and I can actually freely talk about like how it feels, but maybe not show any gameplay, I will gladly let you guys know here in the future. But Battlefield needs to go back to its roots. It needs to go back to like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Bad Company 2. Even though Battlefield Bad Company 2 is a little bit more arcadier than what Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 is, I would much rather have that than what we have currently. Slow down the movement, bring back team-based synergies, team-based gameplay, and focus on that team-building role. Having everybody play their unique roles, have medics come back and start doing the reviving and healing again, supports throwing down their damn ammo boxes and playing and suppressing fire on enemy teams and everything. Engineers going through and taking out vehicles and repairing vehicles, making vehicles go through and like having to stop, get out of the vehicle and repair their stuff instead of sitting in the comfort of their vehicle where they can't take any damage, or sit there and out repair the damage that they're taking to a certain extent, like they did back in Battlefield 1. That was a change I didn't like there either, because it pretty much said, oh, I could just sit here and just be safe in this big metal box. Bring back what Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 did right, and bring back the movement of those games, and I guarantee you a lot of people will start playing Battlefield again, because everybody's probably getting sick and tired of COD. And another thing, do not add skill-based matchmaking into Battlefield. Bring back server browsers, bring back community-based servers where people can go through and make their own servers again. Don't add bots to the game, because, you know, we're going to have the same issue that we had with Battlefield 2042, where people were making XP farms with bots and everything, and you were able to level up your weapons. Just do away with it. It's kind of pointless. If the game just starts dying or whatever, you know, it's whatever. Focus on the multiplayer and I guarantee you a lot of people will start playing. But this has been my thoughts and opinions. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll respond or look at whatever anybody says. I'm kind of hoping more people are on my side with how Battlefield should be. We should go back to how Battlefield was and not the way it is now. We need less of what it is now and more of what it was back then. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to me rant and talk about my wish list and thoughts about the trailer and everything. I do appreciate it, and I want to say thank you to everybody who's been also tuning into the streams and everything as of lately as well. You guys have all been awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.